Hello guys, I am back with the most amazing, I don't even know how to describe this recipe. It's so good. It's a pot pie recipe that I received from my nephew, and it is the most delicious pot pie you'll probably ever eat. So stay tuned. Hello guys, I want to share with you this most amazing pot pie recipe, and what I'm going to go over with you with first of all are the ingredients. So what we have here, you're going to use 12 small chicken thighs. Make sure that they're boneless and skinless. Takes all the extra work out if you use the boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Remember, that's 12 small, but if you're going to use larger chicken thighs, then you can adjust. Like I'm only using 8 large chicken thighs because they're pretty big, so I don't need to use the 12. But also you can use chicken breast if that's what you prefer. It still will, turn out the same amazing taste. Now the next thing we're going to go over is you're going to need 1 tablespoon of salt. I'm using Himalayan salt, but you can use sea salt. You can use seasoning salt, whatever your preference is. Also 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. Also you're going to use, I didn't have the large can, so I just bought 2 of the small cans. But you're going to use 1 large can of cream of mushroom soup or 2 small cans, which is what I'm using. Also, you can use, the other ingredient is cream of chicken. 1 large can of cream of chicken soup, or like I'm using here, 2 small cans of chicken noodle soup. Also, you're going to use 30 ounces of mixed vegetables. Now, I've got these small bags, but they also come in, you can get the great big large bag. You can use the California medley. You can use just a regular kind that I'm using today, which is what Larry prefers. He doesn't like the one with all the broccoli and the cauliflower in it. So we're going to use just the regular mixed vegetables. So remember, that's 30 ounces. I'm using 3 bags that will equal about 30 ounces. Now those are the ingredients. Let's see, one other thing, you need a 32-ounce container of chicken broth. You can use chicken broth, you can use vegetable broth, but just make sure you use the broth or the stock. Either one is perfectly fine. And those are your ingredients. And I'll be right back to get you started on the rest of the recipe. Okay guys, this is the part where you're going to make your broth. Now this is a little different than your normal pot pie mixture. So what you're going to do is, we've already shown you the recipes, and what you're going to do, you're going to add in all of your chicken stock or broth. Whether it's broth, you can use chicken stock or broth, as I said. And then you're going to add in your butter into the pot of broth. Now I've already put a little bit of butter in there, so I'm going to add just a little bit more, which I don't need that much because I've already added some in there. And then you want to add all of your seasonings into your broth, your salt, your pepper, your onion powder, and your garlic powder, and stir that up, mix that up real well. And then you've got you a nice flavored broth. This is very, very important because this flavoring will flavor all of your vegetables and it will season it really, really good. Now that we've got all the seasonings in the pot, now you can add your chicken thighs or your chicken breast, whichever one you prefer to use. And remember, if you're using small chicken breast, you'll need 12. But if you're using medium or large, you're going to need a lot less, because I'm actually only using 9 chicken thighs because mine are a little bit bigger. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and put the chicken thighs in there, and then we'll be back and I'll finish up this recipe for you. Okay guys, at this point, we're going to take about a tablespoon of butter. And remember, I'll put down in the comments below what the ingredients are. But we're going to take about a tablespoon of butter. And we're going to turn the stove on and get that melted. And what we're going to do here is saute the vegetables in this butter. Just going to pour them in there, let them saute. And get a little flavor from the butter in there. And that's not going to melt very quickly because it's went right into those cold vegetables. But that's okay. Okay. You may have to do it in sections. That's okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to use a larger container. But that's okay. This is the next part that we're going to do is saute. You only have to saute them once it starts to get a little simmer going, only for a couple of minutes. One other thing I wanted to mention here is that, as you can see, the chicken is all shredded. But I'm going to have to hurry up and get the chicken into the pot pies because Larry is eating the chicken fast. The chicken broth that we use, remember we seasoned up the broth. We put in our garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and those ingredients. Well, that seasoned this chicken so well, and it turned out so delicious. And it's hard to not eat it before we get it in the pot pie. But anyway, the step that we're doing here is to saute your vegetables in some butter for about 2, maybe 3 minutes. And then I'll be back after I get this part done and show you the rest of the steps. Okay, guys, I wanted to mention here that broth that we cooked the chicken in, you also add 3 bay leaves to that broth. And also we added a stick of butter to the broth as we cook this chicken thighs or breast, and you let that boil for about 45 minutes on a medium, not high. But I did forget to mention the 3 bay leaves and a stick of butter in there. And now, as you can see, I had to switch over to my bigger pot. My other skillet was not big enough. And I said about a tablespoon of butter, depending on how big your pot is. I actually ended up using 2 tablespoons of butter. But we're just going to saute that for a couple of minutes, and then I'll come back and show you how to assemble the rest of the ingredients. Okay, guys, now this is starting to come to melting the butter. But what I have here, and I didn't get my measurer, let me grab that real quick. Into the vegetables as they are sauteing, I remove the broth, but what we're going to do is you're going to add about 1/4 cup of your delicious, well-seasoned broth into the vegetables to help saute those in that butter, and that'll keep it nice and a little bit of moisture in there. But make sure you use about 1/4 cup to saute your vegetables in, and it gives that wonderful flavor that we just gave to those chicken thighs or chicken breasts, whatever you are using. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, this is what I wanted to show you. This was my little surprise. Actually, it was my little surprise for Larry, because instead of making one great big huge pan of pot pie, and then if you freeze it, you got to unthaw the whole thing, we went to Gordon's and found these most amazing little pans. So they're single serve, and I asked him, was this size pan, big enough for him to eat? And he said yes. So I'm going to show you real simply how to make the pie crust to put right in here and then put a top on it. First of all, this is the pie crust that we're using, Pillsbury pie crust. It comes 2 in a box, and you just roll them out like so. Very, very simple, very simple. And this is what we're going to do. You take the pan that we're going to use and you put it onto the pie crust. Press it down just a tad bit. Take your knife. Use the edge that is not sharp. And just go right around the tin. And this is going to be your bottom piece. And look at that, how easy that is. You put that aside, you can use that to flatten it back out. But what we're going to do is we take this piece here and we put it into the bottom of the pan. And then you're going to scoop in your mixture, your pot pie mixture. Now, I think it's going to take roughly about, if you level the cups off, it's going to take about 3 cups of your chicken pot pie mixture. If you level it off, about. You want it up just a little bit. And then I've already cut this piece out. Identical same way that we just cut that one. You place that right on top. Perfect, perfect fit if you round the edges of the bowl. And then just press that right down in there, guys, just like that. And voila, you have yourself pot pie. Now, as you can see, we've got some of the other ones. This one doesn't have a top on it yet, but I'm getting ready to put a top on it. And I'm going to actually take these and put them in the oven and bake them. And then the coolest thing is you can actually freeze these for several months. You can freeze as many as you want, okay? And this is the little plastic lid that came with it. So once you cook the pot pies and you let them completely cool, you can put them the little plastic lid on, seal it down, and that will secure, keep out all air as tightly as you can. I'm not going to go around the whole edge, but you see what I'm talking about here. You can freeze that, put that right into the freezer and freeze them. I think the directions said about 3 months you can freeze these and they would stay perfectly good. Also, again, this mixture right here. This mixture, you can use this, the chicken breast, or you can use the chicken thighs. The chicken thighs make it, to me, a lot more moist. So that is the finishing of the recipe. What we're going to do now, because we haven't baked any, you want to set your oven on 350? 375. That's what it was, 375. And you bake these in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes on 375. And I'm going to bake these, and then I'll get back with you and let you see how they turn out. Okay, there's one other thing I forgot to mention, the very final step. Once you get your pie crust on your pot pies, take some melted butter and just spread it across the top. That gives it a nice, juicy, delicious, golden crust. And then we'll pop them into the oven. There we go. Okay, maybe one other really quick thing. I'm going to use a fork and I'm going to pierce this just to let some of the steam out. You don't have to pierce it a lot. Just a couple of times. There you go. Now we've got our butter, what word am I looking for? We've got our butter placed on top of the pie crust, and we're going to pop them in the oven. And I said 30 to 40 minutes. It's 45 minutes, guys. 45 minutes for your pot pies. Keep an eye on them because you don't want them to get too brown. And then pop them in the oven. Check on them after about 40 minutes. And then we'll bring them back at the end so you can see how they turned out. Thanks, guys. Okay, this is the finished product. Look at that golden brown crust on there. And of course, Larry is always the taste tester. And he is going to taste it for me.
This is a wonderful pot pie, and I'm going to try it. And I can't wait because I love them. Nice and crusty. Look at that. Look at that, people. Crust, the food. Look at how it's hot, hot, hot. But look at that. Look at that, folks. Tremendous. This is wonderful. I'm going to take a blow on it in a minute and we'll eat it. Oh man. Wow. Homemade pot pie. Hot. Oh man. It's a hit, people. Like Joyce said before, you can freeze these. We put a couple of them in the freezer. We're going to eat these for dinner here. They're great. And if you like this video, as I say always, hit the thumbs up, like and subscribe. Joyce makes some excellent videos for cooking. Bye now.